For Poland Daily News, I'm Phil Goss. The United States is the 30th country, among them also Poland, to consider the massacre of Armenians during the First World War to be genocide. President Joe Biden, in a special announcement issued on the day of commemorating the 1.5 million victims of the Armenian tragedy, stated that this mass murder deserves global scorn. The president's words angered Turkish authorities. President of the United States, Joe Biden, recognized the slaughter of Armenians as a genocide that took place during World War I in the territory of the Ottoman Empire. It was then that the Armenian people were subjected to mass extermination. Joe Biden's decision, however, sparked a diplomatic conflict on the Ankara-Washington line. Let us never allow such a crime to happen again. Let us renew our collective resolve to prevent future atrocities anywhere in the world. It is a very pleasant surprise. Successive presidents, beginning with John Kennedy, promised this in various ways during the election campaign, but they never kept their word, and only now has a breakthrough occurred. Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan thanked Biden for restoring the historical truth. The Turkish side objected to this, which resulted in the summoning of the American ambassador to the Turkish Ministry of Foreign Affairs. No outsider can teach us about our own history. Political opportunism is the greatest betrayal of peace and justice. The question remains whether the plan for the June meeting of the presidents of both countries on the occasion of the NATO summit is still valid. Middle East expert Marek Reshuta has no doubts that this development will destroy already troubled American-Turkish relations. It is a very clear signal that the U.S. policy of concessions to Turkey is over. On Thursday, the president of Armenia met with his advisors for consultations about what to do. Another opinion was expressed by the president of the Foundation for the Culture and Heritage of Polish Armenians, Jan Abgarowicz. They will summon the ambassador. They will shout. They will practice their negationism, which is referred to as the last one. Genocide has certain stages: preparation, and then the act itself. The last act is silence, which we see in the example of Turkey. Where similar events have taken place, there is still denial. Monuments to murderers are erected. Armenians were subjected to various forms of extermination by the Turks. Armenians were murdered everywhere because they were Armenians and, as such, Christians. Generally, people were killed in an incredibly barbaric way. Men and women, under the guise of evacuation, were expelled in death marches into the desert. The slaughter of Armenians is often compared to the Holocaust. Various methods of murdering Armenians by slitting their throats or even crucifixion indicate the bestiality of the Turkish torturers. Around 1.5 million Armenians, roughly 3/4 of their entire population, died at the hands of Turks. The Lisbon Treaty and its effects were the subject of an international debate on Saturday organized by the Institute of Schumann Thought. Experts from across Europe participated in the discussion, including ambassadors from Spain, Lithuania, and Denmark. Topics related to the Lisbon Treaty in the 12th year of its operation were discussed. What are the negative consequences of this document for Poland and other European Union countries? We want the discussion to show the necessary changes to protect the European Union from bankruptcy, unfortunately. If it stumbles into a great state, it will go bankrupt, and we will observe various kinds of not Brexit, but Greeksit, Italicity, and so on. Denmark cut itself off, excluded important areas, for example, the justice system, from the jurisdiction of the Lisbon Treaty. They removed the police, the security system, and various matters relating to social systems from this jurisdiction, and this allowed Denmark to function completely differently. The conclusions go rather not toward creating a superstate, but towards creating a community of European nations. That is, something that will give freedom and independence. 7,219 infections and 193 deaths were added to the current balance of coronavirus pandemic statistics in Poland. Almost 800 fewer people are in COVID hospitals compared to yesterday, and almost 4,000 fewer than last week. The largest numbers of new cases of coronavirus infection were recorded in the Wielkopolskie, Dolnośląskie, and Małopolskie provinces. The number of all those infected since the beginning of the pandemic in Poland is close to 2,760,000, and the number of deaths due to COVID-19, 65,500. The next Oscar awards season will start soon. It is a great celebration for movie fans. However, Due to the pandemic, everything looks completely different this year. Opinions about the cancellation of standard celebrations are divided, as was collected by our correspondent in the United States. This year, due to the coronavirus pandemic, the Oscar awards ceremony looks completely different. There are no Oscar parties or press conferences this year, and no red carpet in Hollywood. The Chinese cinema is still closed, and part of the Avenue of Stars can only be viewed from behind railings. This year's movie festival is a very important event for Americans who express their dissatisfaction with the lack of Oscar awards events in Hollywood.
I mean, I don't see why not. You know, they're already having football games and stadiums open, so might as well.
Everything is closed. You can even take a picture closed.
Oh well. Oh well. I mean, whoever wants to go can go. Whoever doesn't, doesn't.
Yeah, you can't get to the stars. I mean, I'm just here visiting from Carolina, so I really don't have to.
Never. It was never open in the first place. It's all
work on it.
tinsel.
Some express understanding and believe that the stars will return to the Dolby Cinema next year for the 94th awards ceremony.
That's true. I was telling them. Yeah, I was telling them how the red carpet's normally set up and stuff, and so I think with how everything has changed this last year, it's just one of the changes we have to deal with for this particular year. I have no doubt next year they'll be back here, there'll be the big red carpet, and it'll all go back to normal. So this is just kind of their alternative, and I think it's a good alternative. So, yeah.
The streets around Hollywood Boulevard and the Highline Center were not closed, as is normally the case a few days before the gala, because only part of the American Academy Awards ceremony will take place here. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, there are no tourists on Hollywood Boulevard. Despite this, locals have flocked to the shops. For Poland Daily News, I'm Phil Goss. Good night.